Sup? We're back again today doing another community lot in Newcrest. This time it is a restaurant that crosses with a wedding venue. Because you don't get too many lots in Newcrest, you actually have to think about what is the most important and what's a priority to put in your build for the entire town. And I think having somewhere that's really beautiful for both photos and the whole gameplay experience of a wedding is really important, but at the same time, you don't want to waste a whole lot for just a wedding venue because you also want to be able to do other parts of gameplay there as well. Hence why it is also a restaurant. It's really elegant and beautiful. It's got super romantic vibes about it, so I hope you enjoy it. If you do, you can of course download it at the Sims Gallery. I've just hit 1,000 downloads, which is just insane. As always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me to grow the channel. It still is a very big baby channel. A big baby channel? I am just starting out, so if you do leave a comment or a like or share it, all of those things really help to support me as I continue making content. I've got a few people that are here every week. Thank you. You know who you are. Every time you comment, it just... We're gonna jump into it now. Happy simming. I will see you next Tuesday. Alrighty, so we're in Newcrest again, as per usual, and today we're doing our restaurant and wedding venue for the town, and I really like this lot. It's called Tranquil Crescent, and it's sort of in the middle part of the save file when you're looking at it from neighborhood view. And the reason I chose this spot is because it's got such like vast surrounding greenery. It's not anything that you can really visit in terms of the game. It's not like there's a park next to it or anything, but all those additional trees and grass that surrounds this lot makes it seem a lot bigger, and that's obviously going to come in handy because where I put the wedding sort of section is kind of tucked away. I have to admit it was a little bit of an afterthought to make it a wedding venue. It wasn't really planned from the get-go, but it is just such a romantic spot. I can't wait to get my Sims married here. I actually have a couple at the moment who already have 2 kids but aren't married and just never got around to it, but have been engaged forever. So I'm definitely going to bring them here to get them married, and when I do build the wedding section, you'll see that I've tried to make it as photogenic as possible, because I think that if there's ever a moment that you want to get some screenshots and get some gameplay footage, then it's definitely a wedding. So I've made it as nice as possible for you. As for the actual restaurant itself, it's got a bit of an industrial vibe about it. I feel like I just can't get away from industrial. I just think there's something really beautiful about black windows and grey bricks. And I think whenever you do anything that has black elements for doors and windows, it just brings it into a bit more of an industrial space. But the roof line is what really makes it seem almost like a church. The fact that one side is so steep and it looks out through beautiful, huge glass windows onto the lake at the front. That funny pool shape will look like a lake once I disguise the sides of the pool. But as for the roof here, you can see I'm just filling it with windows which will let in heaps of natural light. The wedding venue isn't indoors, but I think that the elegant sort of look and feel of the building is quite nice and lends itself to the wedding scene as well. And here I am just doing the lake. So I still can't believe that you don't have the opportunity to make any ponds or lakes in The Sims. I think that is just ridiculous. The fact that you used to be able to have that functionality in The Sims 2 and 3 where you would use your terrain tools the same way, and if you dug down far enough you would end up with water. I don't know why they just don't have that in this game. I just don't get it. It would just make everybody's lives so much easier. The fact that we do have the option to use pools and make them look like a lake or a pond, it's a fix, but it's, you know, a bit of a frustrating endeavor. I just used a lot of rocks to make it look more natural under the surface of the water, and of course I chose a darker water tone, a bit more of like a murky greeny blue. I actually really like this color of water, and I use it a lot in modern houses for their swimming pools as well. But for now I'm just surrounding it with heaps of plants and of course lots of lily pads in the middle. And I actually had the opportunity to use mainly plants from the Romantic Garden stuff pack, which I never use, and I've always wanted to use them just because otherwise it's a waste of money, quite frankly, but I've never gotten around to using them before. So I thought that this would be the perfect setting for those huge white wispy flowers and those cute little pink ones as well. Landscaping is definitely my sort of favorite thing to do in The Sims because it's just so meditative and relaxing. You just place things again and again and again and it ends up looking good. There's not really that much of a science to it. And I think because I can get so caught up in the building needing to look nice that it's just really freeing to be able to jump into the garden and have a little bit more fun and be a little bit more loose with it. And so now I'm just popping some terrain paint around the outside as well. Terrain paint is so essential with building to make things look good. I just, neglected that for so long when I started out building in The Sims. So if you are new and wanting to get better at building, I definitely would recommend getting your head around terrain paint because it really, really helps to make things look a little bit more realistic, especially in terms of like garden paths and the way that like regular grass connects with areas of landscaping with a bit of dirt. So definitely check those tools out if you haven't already. They're amazing. And as for the landscaping around here, because I've got a bit of a steep hill, I kind of wanted to fill it, like jam pack it with flowers, but I wasn't sure if I should leave some grass or not. I end up jam packing everything. I think it looks really nice when it's almost overgrown to a degree. So it's literally as easy as choosing the first sort of 5 plants you want to use, and then for the rest of the landscaping you can just use the eyedropper tool to select plants nearby and just copy and paste them. So landscaping on this lot really didn't take too long because I was able to just use that eyedropper tool. But I do really smother this building and the surrounding area with plants because I just think that if you go to some really beautiful restaurants, and this is again a wedding venue, I wanted it to be really, really elegant, like something that was just plucked out of a fairy tale. So that was the vibe I was going for. I hope I've been successful. And in terms of these bricks, I've used them before in my park build and I love them because they just seem like retaining walls that would exist in the real world. They look like they're made of sandstone. I'm using them in a white swatch here, which is quite nice. And I'm using them sparingly, just sort of to hold in the sides of the walkway. Rather than have railing. I think that railings around stairs and railings just to box in areas just doesn't look very nice. I don't know, I think that the Sims railings are really ugly. Like and the thing that really bothers me the most about them is that the supporting frame bits, like the sticks that hold them up, they never sit equally. Like they just kind of get placed randomly when you do a big line of fencing, and it just irks me to no end. So anyway, I'm avoiding using fencing, by using those retaining wall things to hold things in, and they make a nice little border for me to then just chuck heaps of plants and rocks into as well. And a nice little touch that I've done that it might sort of jet past a bit too quickly to see is I will place plaques, like little brass plaques that are for museums into the wall, so it looks like you're sort of getting a bit of a story about the garden or maybe a bit of history about the building on those plaques. So keep an eye out for those. I am going to place one shortly, but I thought I'd point that out because I know that at 800 times speed it's just going to blitz through it, and it's something I wanted to note because I thought it was quite a nice touch. And in terms of the speed, do let me know if it's a bit too fast and it's a bit too aggressive for you. I did ask this in my last video, but everyone seemed to be on the same page that you'd rather have a really fast video that doesn't cut anything out than to have a video where I've just cut big sections out to make it fit into a shorter timeline. So I followed that advice again this week, and I've just kept all of the footage in, except for a few, bits where I'm hunting through the build by menu for ages, and letting you see every aspect of the build, including the questioning decisions and trying to figure out what looks good where. I think it's really important to people that are learning through watching speed builds to see all the mistakes as well as all of the good stuff, just because that's how you learn. It's how you pick up on the process. And the thing with building is that it does take time. It takes hours and heaps of energy, and you know, it's not an overnight thing for sure. And I know when you watch a speed build, you think it is because it's so quick, but it's not. It certainly isn't. I actually tried to build this a few weeks ago, and I really just wasn't happy with how it looked. It looked really different to this, but it was still elevated up on the same lot. And I went for the same sort of industrial look and feel, but it just wasn't working. It just really wasn't working. And I found that in leaving it for a couple of weeks and coming back to it to work on it with a fresh mind and with a bit more of a plan, that it definitely helped. So this is definitely not just me jumping in there. There's the plaque, by the way. I've just put it in on the left. So you can see it looks like it's a nod to, you know, the surrounding gardens and a bit of history maybe. But anyway, so now we're back in the garden and I'm just doing the wedding area. So as I said, the wedding area was a little bit of an afterthought. I have to admit, I was never going to put it in, but I figured with this little space at the back here, it was just worth trying to get an aisle and an archway in, and you could just see me trying to constrain that foundation to give it a bit more breathing room, but I couldn't. It wouldn't let me. So it really is tucked in the back here, but I actually end up really liking it. I think it's quite cute. And again, like, you're not going to be having your Sims getting married every 2 minutes, and you still want to get lots of gameplay out of this build without having to get your Sims get married. So I think having it as a restaurant is a better idea anyway, so you don't need it to be a huge wedding section. And this isn't a very big lot. I think it's like 20 by 30 tiles, so it's not mammoth. I was trying to say massive and mammoth at the same time there. That didn't work. It's not massive, but it is quite spacious, and it gives you enough room to have this little section here. I'm popping some rose petal rugs on the floor, and I do end up changing the archway, there I go, to something just a little bit more simple and a bit smaller. And I also changed those two pots of flowers to something a little bit nicer as well. It's definitely got a very sort of fairy tale vibe about it. I think it's probably a little bit too frou-frou or like floral for me if I was going to get married here, but for your Sims, it's perfect. And of course, you got to get some nice ambient lighting. I know that Sims get married usually during the day or at sunset, but if you're having a nighttime wedding, I still wanted you to be able to get some really beautiful photos. So I was just playing around with different lights, and I end up going with that sort of lantern-like look, and I also use it around the rest of the gardens as well to light up all of the beautiful landscaping. But I would be very happy to get married there, and the best part about having your wedding in a restaurant is that you can get food after. And nothing worse than trying to throw a wedding and get a 5-star rating or a gold rating or however they rate it in the Sims gameplay, and not being able to because your Sims get into a really grumpy mood because they can't eat anything. There's nothing that bothers me more than community lots in general that just don't have the basics for what your Sims needs. So they end up wanting to go home early. So there are 2 bathrooms here. It's a restaurant. You can eat. There's a swimming pool technically for the pond. So if your Sims get bored, they can go for a dip. And otherwise, it's just a really beautiful place to be. So I hope your Sims like it, and I hope you guys like it. Let me know in the comments below if a wedding venue is something that you guys think is really important in the game, or if you're just the type of person that jumps into any community lot, places a wedding arch and just goes to town that way and just does it as easy peasy as they can. I've definitely been that type of person in the past. I just get a little bit lazy, or I'm even worse, I just get them to elope immediately and I just have them have their wedding at home, which is really, really lazy. But I'm not a big gameplay person. I'm not. I really need to get better at, you know, storylines and what have you in the game, but I love building so much, and by the time I build something I really like, it only takes me a few hours of playing it to want to build something else. So I don't know, I think I just need to stick with building for the time being until I come up with a really good storyline. I know a few of you have talked about, you know, maybe watching my Let's Play if I start a Let's Play series, but I I don't know. I don't know if I'd get bored making it, or how to keep it interesting for you guys, and what sort of things you look for in a Let's Player as well, or in a Let's Play series, if you need it to have lots of drama, or, you know, silly storylines, or if you really just want to see how the game is played just as is, you know. I think everyone has different styles of Let's Plays, so I'm gonna have to figure what mine is before I start sharing that all with you. So for now, I'm going to stick with my usual speed builds, and of course I've just started some tutorials as well. So I did my first tutorial last week and I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked it too and got some value out of it. I went really slowly and tried to take you through everything that I could to make it a really easy, seamless process for you all. And I've got a few more of those coming too. So I'm super excited to continue building and give it a bit more purpose for you all as well, so you can get something more out of it than just watching the speed builds. But I do think we're coming up to the end of the build here, and I'll get some screenshots in there for you and some fly-throughs. I really hope you like it. It is my first ever restaurant. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you did enjoy it, please give it a big thumbs up as always. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next week for another video. I think it will be a tutorial at this stage, so keep your eyes peeled. Have a good one, guys. Bye.